If you think cheating always involves another woman, you're wrong. I found out my husband was cheating on me, just not with who I expected. I thought I knew my husband. I thought about this for a long time before speaking out loud, before writing it down, because the moment I post this, it becomes real, not just in my head, not in my sleepless nights, but here, for everyone. I'm not looking for sympathy, and I'm not asking for advice. I just need to say it. Because if I keep this inside any longer, it will destroy me. I was with him for 5 years, 5 normal years, no dramatic scenes, no broken plates. Just life, work, dinner, plans for the weekend, laughter in bed. Can you buy bread on your way home? I loved him, not blindly, not desperately, but quietly, safely. The kind of love you feel when you think you found your person. He wasn't perfect, but he was attentive, real. At least that's what I believed. I knew how he slept, how he laughed when he was tired, how he went quiet when something bothered him. I knew how he touched me at night without waking up. I thought I knew him. The first strange things didn't feel like danger, more like glitches. He became distant, not cold, just distant, as if a part of his life had slowly moved somewhere else, and I no longer had access to it. He spent more time on his phone, but who doesn't? He went out for walks more often, and I wasn't his jailer. He reacted differently to my touch. He didn't pull away. It was more like his body remembered me, but his mind was somewhere else. We stopped looking into each other's eyes the way we used to. But 5 years together, routine happens, right? Life happens. I blame myself. Because it's easier than suspecting the person you love. I suspected everything. Stress, burnout, a phase, everything except the truth. I had no idea. I didn't catch him in bed. I didn't read messages from another woman. What I found was worse, because it made me realize I never knew who I was married to. What I saw destroyed me. I wasn't spying. I wasn't searching for proof. I was looking for tax documents. His laptop was on. He never hid passwords from me. We didn't live in secrecy. I sat down, opened the browser, and saw a tab he forgot to close. It wasn't a dating site, not porn, not messages from some woman at work. It was a chat. At first, I didn't understand what I was reading. The words were familiar, but the meaning wouldn't come together. There was tenderness, too much to be a joke, too intimate to be just a friend. My hands went cold. My heart started beating in my throat. I scrolled up, then down, then up again. I kept thinking, this can't be happening. Then I saw the name, a man's name. I reread everything again and again, as if my brain was looking for an escape route, a mistake, an explanation. There was none. He wrote things he never said to me. He showed emotions he hadn't shown with me in a long time. There was closeness, the kind we no longer had. At first, I didn't feel pain. I felt emptiness, like someone turned the sound off in a movie. The picture was still there, but it meant nothing. I kept scrolling. A man's photo, a man's shoulders, a man smiling back at me from the screen. I whispered, no, but no, didn't change anything. And then I started remembering the new shirts, the unfamiliar smell, the tension after his meetings with friends. Everything suddenly made sense. Too late. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat there and waited for him to come home. The conversation that destroyed everything. I didn't scream when he walked in. I didn't throw anything. I just asked one question, and his silence gave me the answer I was afraid of. He came home like nothing had happened. Same keys, same footsteps, same tired face, and for a second, for one stupid second, I almost believed I imagined everything. He looked at me, then at the laptop in my hands, and he froze. That's how I knew. I didn't ask, what is this? I didn't ask, who is he? Because suddenly, I already knew. I asked something else. How long? My voice surprised me. It didn't shake. It didn't break. He sat down, slowly, like his body was heavier than usual. A while, he said. A while. Do you know how violent those two words are? Not a mistake. Not a moment. Not confusion. A while. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not loudly, quietly, like glass breaking under pressure. Did you ever love me? I asked. He didn't answer right away. That pause, that silence, was louder than any confession. I did, he finally said, but not the way you deserved. I laughed. I hated myself for that laugh. So what was I? I asked. A habit? A cover? A safe place to hide? He looked down. That's when I understood the truth I wasn't ready for. You were my normal life, he said quietly. The life that made everything else possible. Normal. That word burned. I realized I wasn't betrayed once. I was betrayed every single day. Every kiss, every plan, every "I'm tired tonight." I asked him why. Why not leave? Why not tell me? Why build a whole life on a lie? He said he was scared. He said he didn't know how. He said he didn't want to hurt me. I wanted to scream. You let me plan a future with you, I said. You let me love you. You let me believe. And then he said the sentence that finished me. I thought I could live both lives. That's when I cried. Not because he loved a man, not because he was confused, but because I was never part of the truth. I wasn't his partner. I was his shield. I stood up. My legs were shaking now. Did he touch you the way I did? I asked. He didn't answer. I didn't need him to. I walked into the bedroom, looked at our bed, our space, and for the first time it felt chujim, foreign. I packed a bag without thinking, like my body knew before my mind did. At the door, I stopped. I looked back at him. You don't get to ask me to understand, I said. You don't get to ask me to stay. He nodded, and somehow, that hurt more than if he had begged. After the truth, there is only silence. No one tells you this part. They talk about betrayal. They talk about leaving, but no one warns you about the silence that comes after, when the person is gone, and you're left alone with everything you didn't see. The first night without him was quiet. Too quiet. No keys at the door. No familiar footsteps. No voice from the other room asking if I wanted tea. Just silence. I lay on a chuja bed, someone else's couch, staring at the ceiling, waiting for my body to understand what my mind already knew. He wasn't coming back. I thought I would cry all night, that I would break apart, that I would feel something dramatic, but I didn't. I felt hollow, like my emotions were delayed, like my soul hadn't arrived yet. The pain didn't rush in. It waited. The next morning, I woke up confused. For half a second, I reached for my phone to text him, to ask if he slept well, to send something stupid, something normal. And then it hit me again. There is no him anymore. I went to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. Really stared. I looked familiar, but wrong, like a version of myself from another life. I kept asking the same question over and over. How did I not know? Not just about him, about myself. How could I share a bed with someone for years and miss such a fundamental truth? How many moments were real? How many were borrowed? How many times was I holding someone who was thinking about someone else? I started remembering everything, not the big things, the small ones. The way he sometimes flinched when I touched him unexpectedly. The way he avoided mirrors when we were together. The way intimacy felt careful, controlled. I thought it was stress or tiredness or me. It was always me. That realization hurt more than the betrayal itself. Because betrayal has a villain. But this made me feel invisible. I felt stupid, exposed, like my love had been used as camouflage. People told me I was strong, that I handled it well, that at least now I knew the truth. But truth doesn't heal you. It just removes the illusion. And sometimes illusion is all that keeps you standing. I missed him, and that was the part I hated the most. I missed his laugh, his habits, the way he took up space in a room. And then I hated myself for missing him. How can you miss someone who never fully existed with you? I tried to be angry. I wanted to burn everything down inside me. But anger didn't stay. It came and went, like a visitor who didn't know where to sit. What stayed was grief. Not just for him, but for the woman I was before. The woman who trusted. The woman who believed love was simple. The woman who thought honesty was the default. I mourned her quietly. At night, my body remembered him before my mind did. I would turn toward an empty space, my hand searching for warmth that wasn't there, that hurt more than words. Because you can lie to your thoughts. You can't lie to your body. I realized something terrifying. I didn't know who I was without him. So many of my decisions were we. So many plans were plural. Now everything was singular, sharp, lonely. I tried to replay our conversations, looking for clues, for moments when I should have known. But hindsight is cruel. It gives you clarity only after it's useless. I wasn't blind. I was trusting. and I refused to believe that was my crime. Some nights I felt empathy for him, and that confused me. I imagined how trapped he must have felt, how scared, how alone. And then I remembered he had a choice. I didn't. That's the difference between pain and injustice. He lived two lives. I lived one, and it was built on a lie. I started sleeping with the light on. I don't know why. Maybe darkness felt too much like the unknown, too much like the years I didn't really see. Sometimes I would whisper out loud, "I didn't deserve this," just to hear my own voice confirm it. I wasn't broken, but I was fractured, and fractures don't bleed loudly. They ache quietly, constantly. I survived, but I'm not the same. People keep asking me how I'm doing now. I tell them I'm fine, but the truth is, I'm not broken anymore. I'm just different. There was no dramatic ending, no final argument, no door slammed hard enough to feel like closure. Life didn't pause for my pain. It kept moving, quietly, indifferently. And one day, I realized something unsettling. I hadn't cried in a while, not because it stopped hurting, but because the pain changed shape. It stopped screaming. It started sitting next to me, like a presence I had to acknowledge, but no longer fight. I stopped checking my phone for messages that would never come, stopped wondering what he was doing, who he was with, not because I forgave him, but because I was tired of carrying someone who was never honest enough to carry me. I packed the rest of his things slowly, carefully, like you handle something fragile, not because you love it, but because it once mattered. I didn't reread old messages, didn't look at photos. Some memories don't need to be revisited to hurt you again. I understood something important. Closure is a myth. There is no sentence, no apology, no explanation that suddenly makes everything make sense. There is only acceptance, and acceptance is quiet. I stopped asking why, not because I got answers, but because the question no longer changed anything. What he did wasn't about me, and that took a long time to understand. His fear, his confusion, his double life, none of it meant I was unlovable, or insufficient, or naive. It meant he chose comfort over honesty, and I paid the price for his silence. Sometimes I still think about him, not with longing, not with anger, more like you think about a place you once lived in but would never return to. It wasn't all fake, but it wasn't all real either. And that's the hardest truth to hold. I learned that love without truth isn't love, it's a performance. And I was the audience who believed every word. Now, when someone touches me, I pay attention, not just to their hands, but to their presence, their openness, their courage to be seen. Because intimacy isn't about bodies, it's about honesty. And I will never again offer my life to someone who needs me as a hiding place. I don't hate him. Hate keeps you connected. I don't miss him. Missing assumes something was unfinished. What I feel now is distance, and distance is freedom. I am learning myself again, slowly, carefully, without lies, without roles, without pretending that love should hurt to be real. This story doesn't end with revenge, or healing music, or inspirational quotes. It ends with something quieter. I survived, not as the woman I was before, but as someone who now knows that truth is not optional in love. And next time, if there is a next time, I won't ask for honesty. I will require it.